Hello, everybody, and welcome to PCOS Mindset Coach podcast. Today, I have a special guest, especially for you. Welcome, Julia Young, a fertility nutritional therapist. And I'm here to pick her expert brain as she specializes in helping couples who struggle to conceive by offering personalized nutrition and lifestyle support. So, welcome, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
So, Julia, tell us how did you end up in this specialty?
Well, really, it was because of my own fertility struggles. I had a quite a long fertility journey myself. I was diagnosed with PCOS, a borderline PCOS, and after being on the contraceptive pill for many years, I came off it. We wanted to start a family, and my cycle just didn't return. And I tried lots of things, and nothing happened. So we realized that there was no way that I was going to be able to get pregnant naturally if I wasn't having periods and I wasn't ovulating. So we had to go down the assisted fertility route, and we tried IUI and IVF, and unfortunately had a miscarriage along the way, but eventually it worked and we did get pregnant. But it was only really after having my family that I knew something wasn't right if I wasn't having regular periods. There was something not quite right. So did some research, and I worked on changing my diet and my lifestyle and taking supplements. And then after 7 years of no periods, to my amazement, my cycle returned. And it was really after that I thought, wow, this is the power of nutrition and lifestyle and what it can do. So that sort of motivated me to then go on and study nutrition for several years. But I always knew that I wanted to help people that had been through similar struggles to me. So I then decided to specialize in fertility. So I did extra training in the area of fertility. So it's really due to my own backstory that I wanted to get into this area.
Wow. So, like, were you on like some hormone pills before and then there was no period?
Yeah, so it was post pill
Okay.
PCOS. So I'd been on
Yeah.
the contraceptive pill for many years, and I'd come off it in the past, and eventually my periods returned, but this time they just didn't come back,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
obviously had suppressed something.
Yeah.
And it was really I'd had to then really work on. And my to be fair, my diet and lifestyle wasn't particularly healthy. I was, trying to lose weight, reducing my fat intake, over exercising, so I was doing all the wrong things, and my cycle didn't return, so
Yeah.
it really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, mine was similar in the sense I was working so closely with PCOS women as an OBGYN. I used to see them so much. So, like, I knew what are the typical PCOS women look like. But for me, the only warning sign was like little hair loss on top. That was it. And then what really got me was like the hidradenitis suppurativa, where there were those infections which started in my armpit which wouldn't resolve. And then an OBGYN colleague of mine told me, like, maybe you have insulin resistance and it comes with age. And then I was like, what? Oh my God, it might be. It all makes sense. I think I have PCOS. And this was at 35. Because my period was always like 31, 35-day cycle. And at that time, we would not label them as PCOS. We would
No.
label them as like someone who has periods more than 45 days. That's the classification we used to give. But then a fertility specialist did that insulin resistance test for me, where I was pricked 3 times. And I was like, all off the charts. I was like, oh my God. And then I had to go for fertility treatment and all of that. But the reason why I specialize in PCOS and I help those women specifically because I see a lot of them, a lot of, because the fertility doctors and everyone will like somehow get them pregnant, but the pregnancy for a PCOS woman is not easy. There are a
No.
lot of complications because of the baseline insulin resistance. And I was like, someone needs to help these women because I'm like dealing with complications of that. Like, that's just agonizing. There's so much
Mm.
trauma. So, yeah, that was my bit around like my why I started this whole thing. So tell me, what are the most common nutritional myths that you have related to PCOS that you see?
Gosh, there's lots. I mean, probably the first one would be that carbohydrates are the enemy. So many women with PCOS believe that they need to cut out carbohydrates completely to manage their symptoms. And while it can be true that the refined carbohydrates, and those are the ones like I call them the sort of white, fluffy carbohydrates, like your white breads and white pastas and sugary foods, they do, they can cause spike insulin levels. But eliminating all carbohydrates can lead to nutritional deficiencies, um, and make the diet unnecessarily restrictive. It's very difficult to, cut everything out and then try and follow that long term. Um, really difficult. So, we want to more be focusing on choosing complex carbohydrates. So those are the ones which are high in fiber, like your whole grains, your whole grain rice, whole grain breads, brown pastas, that sort of thing, which give us a much slower, steady release of energy and help to stabilize that blood sugar. But really, we don't want to be cutting out everything completely because it's miserable and it's too difficult. So carbs are definitely, we need the carbohydrates. It's just about managing the quantities and potentially when we have them and things like that. So that would be a big one. Another one is that you have to lose weight to manage to improve your PCOS symptoms. Now, around 70% of women with PCOS do have insulin resistance, and weight can be an issue for many women, and it can be particularly difficult to lose weight. But it can also cause unnecessary pressure to be told, go away and lose weight and exercise more. And these women are doing this, and it's not working for them. And we know that reducing a small amount of your weight, maybe 5 to 10% of your body weight, can improve insulin resistance. It can help to regulate cycles, can help to regulate the symptoms. But not everyone needs to lose weight. And there's such thing as lean PCOS, where we're very slim, but there's perhaps other drivers that are causing the PCOS, like maybe it's due to stress factors, adrenal PCOS, or inflammation or something like that in the body. So again, it's not everyone that needs to lose vast amounts of weight to manage their symptoms. Another one that comes up often actually is that having dairy and gluten in your diet are always a bad thing, and they should always go. And again, I feel this is very much a personalized thing. So for some people that I work with, taking out gluten and dairy or one or the other can be helpful. They can be inflammatory foods, but again, not necessarily for everyone. Some people are absolutely fine on these foods, so it shouldn't be a blanket, take it out, and go from there. You should really want to know exactly if it's for you that you need to remove them. Again, they can be hard to do if you're following a very restrictive diet. And then another one would be the ketogenic diet is the best diet for PCOS. And I'm not a big fan of the ketogenic diet. It can be helpful short term if there's a lot of weight to be lost, but we need to think about the longer term impact of such a diet. So for those that are not familiar with the ketogenic diet, it's where you cut out basically all carbohydrates and you follow a very high fat diet. And the problem with that is, again, it's restrictive, it's difficult to do, but also it can impact our gut microbiome. Now, the gut microbiome is trillions of bacteria that reside in the gut, and there's a strong association with gut health and PCOS. So if we are cutting out all the fibers that feed our wonderful gut microbiome and help us make vitamins and minerals and hormones and all that sort of thing, then we're potentially having an impact on our PCOS symptoms. So sometimes a short-term measure, but certainly if you're trying to conceive or anything long-term, I think ketogenic isn't necessarily the way forward. So again, it's a bit of a myth that everyone should sort of follow that sort of diet. And then probably the last one would be that supplements can fix everything. Now, some supplements can play a role in helping support PCOS symptoms, but I always have a food first approach. And if the diet and the lifestyle aren't right, there's no point in spending loads of money putting in supplements because they're just not going to do everything. So you need to really work on making sure that you're getting the right foods into the diet, and then supplements should be something that supplement a diet, not it's not a replacement for a bad diet, basically. So food first always is my
Yeah.
general.
Now, I kid you not, like each myth that you said, like the carbs are the enemy, have to lose weight. Like there's such controversial information on the internet, like especially on
Mm.
Instagram. Like I have seen people with lots of followings and lots of comments going on, lots of likes, very popular videos. They're talking about full extreme things. And it's like, and right now I'm actually doing a ketogenic diet, and that is recommended by a very popular physician, an OBGYN physician. So, like you would think, right? Like an OBGYN is recommending, maybe it's good. Her reasoning is absolutely solid, like whatever she's thinking. And I'm like, let's give it a try. Let's see how it goes. But the first time when I lost weight, first, like when I actually lost around 22 kilos, that was just by eliminating flour and sugar. Like my coach had told me, no flour, no sugar. So the white things, the refined out, that's it. I removed those, I lost weight. Unfortunately, they're addictive. They're so
Yes.
addictive, right? And that's why it becomes not so sustainable. Like even this ketogenic diet, like when I went on it, like around 2 months back, I quickly gained weight, like around 3 kilos of weight in just 10 days because of the
When you
water.
when you stopped it, or
I
when
was
you
doing ketogenic, but she was
oh
recommending to have water and salt and electrolytes. So every time I will go in ketosis, I would check on my urine. I am in ketosis. And then the salt, she was like, take salt because I was having this keto flu symptoms. So I was taking salt and I just puffed up. And I'm like, I'm a physician. I understand what's going on in my body. But imagine a patient
yeah,
going through
exactly.
that. Like if you don't have one-to-one support over such things, like it can completely backfire. And like you are right, like not everyone has to lose weight, especially the lean PCOS, but I'm seeing morbidly obese
Yeah,
patients
yeah,
here. And for them, like even like they have a long way to go. Like just when it comes to weight loss, they need to, because they're all the other organs are getting, joints and all getting jeopardized. But there is like such controversial, like a PCOS, someone who thinks she has PCOS, she sees something and she's like, oh, like a lean PCOS. She already doesn't like to eat.
yeah,
And then someone tells her lose more weight and she's like, that's it. I will lose some more. I know how not to
yeah,
eat. So she's like gonna go do that. So I think PCOS women do need that personalized one-to-one support where someone is actually looking into what they're actually eating and what's going on in their
yeah,
mind, like why they do, and like be willing to experimentation, right? Like try on different things and see what actually works for you. This is what I
exactly.
think always.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think, like what are the dietary changes that have the biggest impact on PCOS symptoms?
So I'd say the first place we want to start is making sure those blood sugar levels are balanced. I think that's really, really important. Um, if our blood sugar is imbalanced, not only can it contribute to weight gain, but it can impact your cycle. So the regularity of your cycle, it can impact ovulation. It can definitely impact those PCOS symptoms, and it can impact things like egg quality as well. And if you're going through any fertility treatment, it can impact sort of the number of eggs that are produced, implantation success, all those sort of things. So there are many factors if we've got this unbalanced blood sugar. So it's really important that we keep that nice and steady as possible, not having these huge sort of highs and lows of blood sugar. And that affects our energy level as well. If we start the day with something that's going to make our blood sugar shoot up, we're going to feel quite sleepy and lethargic later on in the day. So we want to aim for meals that combine protein and healthy fats and these complex carbohydrates that I talked about, these sort of whole meal, whole grains. And this will help to really slow down our digestion. So we'll feel fuller for longer. So again, we're not going to be reaching for a snack a couple of hours later, which again can contribute to weight gain. And we're not, we're going to have these nice steady blood glucose levels and help to reduce the insulin levels. So I'd say that'd be the first one, balancing your blood sugar. And along with that, I'd say making sure you're increasing your fiber intake. Again, fiber helps to slow the absorption of sugars, helps to improve our gut health. It's the food for our gut microbiome, which I talked about earlier, really important, and the importance of gut health for PCOS. So making sure we're getting lots of vegetables in the diet, fruits as well, not too many, but really focusing on those variety of vegetables in the diet, and the whole grains as well. And then, PCOS is an inflammatory condition as well. So we want to make sure that we are reducing inflammation in the body. And if we're overweight or obese, that's inflammatory as well. So an anti-inflammatory diet or eating anti-inflammatory foods is really important. Um, so things like oily fish, so things like salmon, mackerel, anchovies, really important for reducing inflammation in the body. Olive oil in the diet, so plenty of olive oil. Herbs and spices like turmeric's really good. Other herbs and spices, ginger, cinnamon, things like that. Berries, green tea, all of those foods are really anti-inflammatory and can help to reduce inflammation in the body. And then, as we talked about before, reducing those processed foods. I don't know what it's like where you are, but there's a lot of processed foods in the supermarkets. People are eating more and more of them. They're everywhere. Our environment is full of the processed foods, the foods with the huge ingredient list. When you look at it, you think, I couldn't. Could you recreate that at home in your kitchen? No way. What are these chemicals? So we want to be eating real food that we get in the fruit and vegetable aisle, the meats aisle, the fish aisle, rather than all those with all the labels and ingredients in them, and reducing the sugar, which is hard. But if we can start to get used to a less sugary taste, it does become easier over time, rather than using placement sweeteners and things like that. We're just trying to retrain our taste buds. Healthy fats, really important, not to be afraid of fat. So again, as I talked about, like the omega-3 fats, so those are your oily fish, things like the olive oil, really important, nuts and seeds, all really important in the body, helps to support hormone production and reduce inflammation, and avoiding those sort of trans fats that you get in the process and fried food. And then avoid skipping meals. Again, if you've been told you need to lose weight, or you know that you need to lose weight, it's quite tempting to skip meals in order to kind of reduce your calorie intake. And a lot of the women I speak to might decide not to have breakfast and then start, fasting has become popular. Actually, interestingly, a lot of the research that's done on fasting is actually done on men. And we're not men, we're not small men, we're completely different. Our bodies operate differently. We have different levels of body fat. It's all completely different. So particularly for women that are trying to conceive, I think fasting is not helpful. I think an overnight fast, which is where I look at you 12 or 13 hours overnight when you finish your dinner sort of early in the evening and then don't eat till breakfast the next morning, is good to give your digestive system a chance to rest and repair. But if we're someone that's going to go all morning without eating anything, and then quite often we get very hungry, sort of hangry at lunchtime or midday, and then we kind of eat too much or almost overeat. So avoid skipping those meals, and seeing the meals as a real opportunity to get in fertility friendly nutrients. It's a real opportunity each time to get those nutrients in that can help support fertility and then making sure you're drinking plenty of water as well. So hydration is important. Avoiding sort of sugary drinks, and just making sure you're drinking plenty of water as well along with that. That would probably be the main dietary changes that are worth doing.
Okay. What do you think about caffeine?
Caffeine. So I think it can play a small role, I'd say. It depends on how much you're drinking. So say if we talk about coffee, if you're someone that's having sort of 3-4 coffees a day, it increases our cortisol level, which is our stress hormone, and we don't want to be doing that. We want to be keeping our stress hormones nice and balanced and low. And if our body is overstressed when it comes to fertility and reproduction, it's seen as our body's in danger and threat, and our body will more or less shut down and say reproduction is not a priority because there's stress going on here. We need to run away from that tiger that the body thinks is coming to get us, although it's not. It's just that we're drinking too much coffee, or we're stressed out at work, or whatever the issue is. So we don't want to be increasing those stress hormones. But a small amount, I think, is okay. Go for the best quality, I will say, that you can afford. Some people will opt to move to decaffeinated, which is great. The decaffeination process can be a little bit toxic. So if you can go for an organic decaf brand, that's better. But I think if you're someone to say that's drinking 3 or 4 coffees a day, can you cut them down to maybe 1 or 2? But we don't have to, this is maybe something that you have to do for quite some time. So it has to be sustainable as well.
Yeah.
A smaller amount is
Yeah.
better.
Because like a lot of my clients, they have already done all the Instagram research about what to do, what not to do. And because there's controversial issues which are like influencers will come and talk about it, people get influenced and they get confused, and when they are confused they don't really start anything. So I always tell my clients, like, this is what I have heard, this is the latest study, this is what I have practiced myself, You take a pick, start something, start somewhere. Like something like caffeine, I like whatever research is, it stays in body like even 12 hours sometimes. So like finish off your coffee before midnight afternoon, like
Absolutely.
maximum, like not no chocolates after that, and like it might help. Even alcohol, as a matter of fact, like so many of them, we don't realize it, right? Like once a week it's not an issue, but then that once a week, actually the weekend starts Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday's hangover. So I mean that's almost half the week.
Yeah.
We disturb sleep so much, and it worsens your stress so much. So um and then there are holidays and there are parties, and I mean once I made a list of all these celebratory events, and it's almost half the year.
Mm.
So, I mean, we're not giving ourselves a chance to recover into something healthy. So, yeah, a lot of challenges most PCOS women have, but I always say start with one, like start
Yes.
focusing on one. And like, especially if you can have someone who can support you, right? Like in your journey, one to
Mm.
one. That is like such a privilege and such a blessing that one person is actually monitoring us. Like that's a real amazing thing, because
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's so emotionally connected. Everything is so emotionally connected for them. For
Yeah, it's
PCOS.
very true. I mean, you can, as you say, you can find out a lot of this information online or Instagram, or whatever, but it's having someone to hold your hand and say, this is where you need to start. For some people, I might not even address food. We might start with sleep because their sleep's so poor, and sleep is such a
Yes.
key factor, for example. Or for someone else, it might be that they need to get moving more, outside more. So everyone is different. And if someone, as you say, someone can be there, hold your hand, guide you through it, it's so much easier than trying to do it on your own, definitely.
Yeah. So that brings us to our next topic, right? Like, how does lifestyle impact PCOS? Like, most, if only lifestyle as a term is used in healthcare communities, like, we understand lifestyle, what it means, but like, most common people are like, what's lifestyle? They will think like style. So
Yeah,
tell me, what role does lifestyle have to play in PCOS and how it impacts
yeah.
it?
So when I think of lifestyle, it's how you're living your life and the things that you're doing every day. So stress, as we talked about before, I think chronic stress can be an issue. It elevates your cortisol levels, which can worsen insulin resistance, can contribute to weight gain, especially around the abdomen, which can be an issue, and it can disrupt ovulation. We know that stress promotes inflammation in the body, which can make those PCOS symptoms worse, like feeling very tired, having hormonal imbalances. So we need to get a handle on stress. And quite often I like to call it stress management, because if you have a really stressful job, it's not practical to give up your job and go and live on a beach for the next 6 months. You have to work, we have to do these things, or you have to, have people you have to look after. But it's about your reaction to stress, and that's something you can work on. So having really evaluating what your stress levels are, and then thinking what you can do there. A sedentary lifestyle as well. So if we're someone that's very desk-based job, sitting all the time, sitting is termed the new smoking these days. We need to get moving, and a lot of people just aren't moving enough. Um, Movement can help to manage insulin levels, insulin sensitivity. A great hack is walking after meals. If you can even spare 10 minutes after your meals, going outside or somewhere for a quick 10-minute walk, that can really help to bring your blood sugar levels down quite quickly. So just getting moving, and again, that can help with the inflammation as well, and reducing that. Sleep, as we talked about, so poor sleep habits. Again, there's so many. Our phones are a big one. Being on your phone at night, I always tell my clients at least an hour before bed, getting to that bedtime routine. Babies and children have bedtime routines where they have their bath and their story and quiet time. We should be doing the same. We should be having a really nice, calming routine to help get us to sleep. Sleep is so important. It, even affects our food choices the next day. It affects our hunger hormones. And, if we're even one night of poor sleep can mean the next day that you're reaching for those sugary, carby foods just to give you the energy and to keep you awake. So working on your sleep and getting to bed a little bit earlier every night can be helpful. Diet, obviously, as we talked about, so making sure that diet's looking really good. Another one is environmental toxins. So again, this is kind of talked about quite a lot at the moment, but we want to be reducing those endocrine disrupting toxins or chemicals. So they're the chemicals that you get in things like plastics, in your cleaning products, personal care products, and maybe in makeup or shampoo or shower gels, and they can mimic our disrupt, hormone function, and again make those PCOS symptoms worse. So frequent exposure to them. So we want to look at reducing them where we can. Again, it's not always possible. Things like pollution, if we're living in a city or polluted areas, nothing we can do. But can we look at our day-to-day products that we're using and making them more clean and less chemicals in them? And then the obvious, things like smoking. For fertility, that's a big no-no anyway. We know that's a problem. And even being exposed to smoke. So if your partner smokes, again, we know that's not good for male fertility. And also vaping. A lot of people I talk to, they're switching to vaping because they think it's healthier. There's not as much research around about vaping, but we know that also chemicals in the vaping, and that can impact fertility and general health. So we want to be cutting that out completely, and then looking at alcohol. And as you talked about, we know it leads to weight gain. We know it makes PCOS symptoms worse. So can you reduce your intake if you feel that alcohol levels up?
Yeah, like I like to tell them there are four pillars of PCOS reversal, which is one is like your food, look into that. Next is sleep, look into that. Movement and mind. Because like if you take care of these four, everything sort of falls in place. Like if you're sleeping well, you are gonna repair all the damages which happened. Like even if you were exposed to all the toxins, you are giving your body a chance to recover with that proper sleep. But people are not sleeping, right? Because we are subjected almost. Like it feels like it's against our will, but to the social media, the television, Netflix, and all of that. And they don't realize, right? Like it's happening every night. And I like to say, just start with one break in pattern. Let's work on one at a time. Figure out a way to sleep. I literally left my profession, a full time clinical practice, to sleep every night because I
Yeah,
was like, I'm going to get breast cancer soon. Like,
yeah,
I can see most OBGYNs are getting breast cancers one after the other or something or the other. You need sleep, period. Right. So, like, if they're shift workers, like, they need to understand they need to take a sabbatical if they want to
yeah.
get pregnant or something. All right. So, coming to our next question. So, what are the most, so you have already discussed most effective changes that they can make so that they can improve their PCOS symptoms. Before we end, like, I want to know, like, are there any supplements as per you? Like, I know you're a nutritionist, right? So, nutritionists, do they recommend supplements or they don't?
We do. Yeah, we do. So food first approach, as I said. So everyone comes to me and they just want to take that magic supplement that's gonna do the thing for them and they don't have to do anything else. But it's always I say, let's get the diet looking really good first and then we introduce the supplements. It's very true that you can't out supplement a bad diet. So you need to have that food in first. And I think a lot of people that come to me and they're already taking supplements and they'll come and they'll have this long shopping list of all the things they're
Bag.
taking. Yeah, a bag and the amount of money it's costing them every month. And I'm like, hold on a minute, let's just strip this back because what works for one person won't necessarily work for another. So don't just go and buy a supplement because your friend got pregnant taking it. You are completely different to your friend. So it's got to be the right supplement for you. Also know that supplements are powerful and they do have an impact on the body. So if you read a book and it tells you these are the nutrients that are important, and then you go and buy them and take them all, that's not necessarily going to be the right thing to do. Your liver has to process all the supplements that you take. So you don't want to put extra stress on the liver. So always work with someone that knows about supplements, knows about the difference between the quality. Again, you can go to a supermarket here and get, for example, a folic acid supplement. It's very cheap, but might not be the right supplement for you. You can pay a bit more and get actually more for your money because you're getting much better quality, more nutrients, etc. So really important diet first, but then there are certain nutrients that I think are useful to supplement, and one of them is inositol, and that can be really helpful for women with PCOS. It's a naturally occurring compound in the body, and we get it through food. We get a small amount in grains and fruit and legumes. but can help to improve insulin resistance and reduce testosterone levels. So some women find that if they're taking inositol or myoinositol, that they see a real improvement in their weight and cycles and that sort of thing. B vitamins can be really helpful, especially if you're stressed. Our body gets through our B vitamins really quickly if we're stressed. So they can be a good one to supplement, especially B12 and folate as well. And we get those in things like our green leafy vegetables, so broccolis and cabbages and kales and things like that are rich in folate. And then things like meat, dairy, and eggs are rich in B12, and they help our insulin receptors to work well, and help with hormone production and energy production as well. Vitamin D, I often find a lot of the women I work with PCOS, we often test for a lot of these nutrients because they can be low, and vitamin D is often a low one in women with PCOS, especially living in the northern hemisphere. We don't know, now we're in winter, there's not much sunlight, so our vitamin D levels are quite low. So really important. And again, if a woman is carrying higher body fat, their vitamin D need may be higher. So therefore, it's important that we test and find out what they are. It helps to improve insulin resistance, supports ovulation rates, and helps to lower inflammation in the body. In terms of through food, we do get some vitamin D, obviously, from the action of sunlight on our skin when there's sunlight, but also oily fish and some vegetables like mushrooms do have a bit of vitamin D in as well. Another one is NAC, so N-acetylcysteine, which is an antioxidant. So again, helps to reduce oxidative stress in the body, which can have an impact on egg quality, may help to lower insulin levels, can help with weight loss, and that generally has an anti-inflammatory approach. And then again, if a woman is struggling a bit with her sugar cravings, sometimes I'll supplement with chromium, and that can help with just dealing with those sugar cravings. It's an essential mineral, and again, it can help with reducing BMI in some people as well. And then I think again, for stress and in general, magnesium can be a really helpful mineral to supplement, particularly if you're struggling with sleep. Taking the right type of magnesium in the evening before bed can just help to relax you. We call it nature's tranquilizer. It really can help you just relax and fall asleep. It helps more than 600 enzymatic processes in the body, so really important, and helps insulin receptors to work properly. So those are generally the ones that I might think about. And if fertility is on the cards, and getting a good quality fertility multivitamin that's got a good level of folate and all the other nutrients can be really helpful as well. But again, as I say, just get some advice when it comes to supplements, so you know that you're taking the right things for you.
Yeah. Like someone like my parents were doctors, so as a child they always like crushed medicines and made it into powder, put it in water and gave it to me. So I used to hate it. I used to hate swallowing pills, and like they would always be stuck, and like so I used to have so much drama as a human. So, and when I came in this developed country to practice medicine, I started noticing there's something called as adverse drug reaction, where I can lose my license for prescribing a medication which just backfired on a patient. So my brain was like, excellent, I don't have to prescribe anyone unless I have a strong indication. So I would literally just prescribe antibiotics and whatever justified. When it comes to supplements, my brain used to be like, okay, pregnancy, only one thing required: folic acid. This is the level of nutrition that I had. This is what OBGYNs everyone will say. But then as time like has evolved, I finished my education like 25 years back. So since then, now we know there are like so many nutrient deficiencies and you can like easily take them. It's just that we can't test for everything, right?
No.
And we can't eat everything. Like, even if we are having a healthy diet, we can't calculate micronutrients the way we can calculate our macronutrients. So, like, when it came to pregnant patients, I used to always emphasize, like, listen, you want to meet a dietitian or a nutritionist, I will give you a referral. Please go and check, like, if you can manage your food. But because they would have nausea, vomiting, and all of that, and some of them actually love taking pills. So I'm like, okay, excellent. I'll give you a multivitamin. At least take a multivitamin with folic acid in it. And iron was very big for us, like
Yeah.
because they do get anemic in pregnancy, and it's like it makes you a pregnancy high risk because there are a lot of complications you are at risk for. So I would literally prescribe supplements only if required. But now that I'm working with this OBGYN doctor, she will be like, you are like a zygote yourself. Like when you are recovering every night in your sleep, you are forming new stem cells and stuff. So you need that sort of supplements to
Mm.
support the way you would support your baby when the baby is in you. So please take a multivitamin, least, at least, because you're not eating well.
Yeah.
If you are eating well, if you are meeting a nutritionist and she's giving you a plan and you're following that properly, you are able to do that, then you might not need a supplement. If you are exercising, if you are sleeping well, you might not even need inositol. But if you're not doing any of that, you're just busy working, you need something, right?
Brilliant. And also our soils are depleted. They aren't as nutrient rich as they were maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. So even if you think you're eating the best quality broccoli that's got all the folate in that you need, etc., we just can't get enough from our diet these days. And that's with someone that's eating 100% perfect diet, and none of us are, it's impossible. So yeah, we just need that little bit of help.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. And at the same time, don't they should not like my patients will come with a bag. I'm taking
so
all this. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, let me count what all you're taking. And they would like it's like food. They're taking all these supplements, right? And there's so many like which can be bought over the counter now. Like the
so
legislation
expensive.
around it. And
Yeah,
expensive, of course. I have seen so many of these marketing representatives, sales representatives who will come and tell me, teach me and educate me about the supplement so much more than what my textbooks or my medical career taught me. So as a physician, we would just prescribe metformin, believe it or not, for PCOS.
yeah,
We don't prescribe anything more than that because there's no evidence for that.
yeah.
Even
No,
inositol is just latest. But off chart, off label, here you go. You can take this, you can take this. And the worst part is for some patients, none of it works, even if they're
no.
taking everything, because they're still not fixed the food, they're still not fixed the sleep, not moving, and those things are will be carried forward in pregnancy. No matter how much you bombard yourself with ovulation medication, you get pregnant, but that body has insulin resistance. You are at
And
risk.
it's as we say, it's do the basics first. And it's amazing. You can feel quite a lot better. Not everything will be resolved, and food and supplements do take longer than taking a medication. But just making a few small changes, you can feel your energy, the way you feel can, within a few days, people come to me and say, I feel so much better. Just making a start somewhere, choose something, start, and go from there, basically.
Yeah, and if they're trying to get pregnant, become a mother, do it for the baby because
Yeah,
the brain will work for the baby. The brain might not work for yourself. Do it
yeah,
for the baby, and then like put everything on the baby. I'll do it for this baby, and nothing wrong with it, right? Like we just sort of twist our brain to do something different, and they
yeah,
they change the moment they get pregnant. Suddenly, super healthy, all of them.
yeah. And then hopefully they carry those habits on and they can continue that. That's my wish always, that I educate people that they can keep going, because
Yeah,
you want it to be healthy for your children then, and
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Pregnancy shows like their whole life, literally, right? Like what all is gonna go. If you're gonna be at risk of diabetes, you'll get diabetes in pregnancy. If you're gonna get hypertension, you'll get hypertension in pregnancy. So everything is like, apart from the mood swings, everything is like you are subjected to that. All right. I think we have gone way over time. So thank you so much. This was like amazing information. I hope everyone has taken notes. Like if you have not taken notes, please pause this video and take your notes. And before you leave, can you share with my people how they can find you if they're interested in working with you?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm on Instagram and my handle is at Julia Young Nutrition. And you can also, my website is juliayoungnutrition.com. You can email me also at info@juliayoungnutrition.com. If people are interested and want to know more, I offer a free 30-minute fertility review. So they can just, if you go on the website, you'll be able to see how you can book in there and we can have a chat and I can explain how I can help you. I also have a free download if anyone's interested, which is called PCOS to Pregnancy: Root Cause Strategies to Transform Your Pregnancy, your fertility naturally. So lots of tips in there to help you get started, and things that, food wise, supplement wise, etc., to get you started. So I think you've got the link that you can share with the viewers, if they want to download a copy, and hopefully that will give them a
Yeah,
good
I will give me all the links. I will upload it on my in my show notes. Thank you so much, Julia, for everything, for taking out time to coming on my podcast. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a fruitful 2025. All right. Thank you so much. Take care.